This channel supports Extra Life in its efforts to raise money for the Children's Miracle Network. For more information about how to donate and join in their efforts, go to the link displayed here. Extra Life. Play games, heal kids.
What up, everybody? This your boy Blak and man, it's kind of sad that so like things that are just so tragic and heartbreaking are the things that have brought me back to doing videos. This weekend, we've lost some significant amount of Black history within the span of a few days, y'all. Yeah, it's 2020 is very, very much a test of one's will. Jesus Christ. Found out not too long ago that John Thompson Jr., former head coach of the University of Georgetown Warriors, passed. Now, for some of you, that name may mean nothing, but it should mean a lot, especially for some of you younger cats. I know a lot of you may not know um, who the hell he was. You may not be into sports, but even if you weren't into sports, during his time, John Thompson was a legend in the Black community. He, it's funny because when I saw the death thing, I saw someone post an article immediately in the thread of the tweet I saw that said that he was our real life Black Panther, and in some ways, that's kind of true because the things that he did lifted Black culture and kind of gave African Americans a figure to look at, to aspire to, and to say, hey, this is one of us doing this thing. You know, that's cool. You know, in a sea of mostly white superheroes, which are iconic, Black Panther came and became a very iconic black superhero for little black boys and girls to look at and aspire to have inspiration from. John Thompson was an African American coach in a sea of nothing but white coaches who was very, very successful at a university that was never really known for its sports at all. Think about this. Now, he coached at the University of Georgetown, right? Georgetown is, if you know anything about Georgetown, a section of Washington, D.C., you know it to be pretty much a predominantly white area that's very, very affluent. A lot of senators, politicians of all kinds, when they come to D.C., they go to Georgetown. Barack Obama lives in Georgetown. It's considered like, you know, a quote unquote white neighborhood. It wasn't always that way. Georgetown was kind of like a bastion for black people for like a long, long time. During and after the Civil War. And, it just, gentrification, I guess. I don't know. Slowly transferred over. Georgetown University, known for its law program, is a predominantly white school. You know, you don't see a lot of black people attending that college. Well, medical stuff too, I forget. But yeah, it's a predominantly white school. It was very much a predominantly white school in the 80s. So you had this African American coach come to this predominantly white area, this predominantly white school, and take a basketball program that no one knew much about, recruited some of the top players in the country, predominantly black. So his team was basically an all-black team coached by a black coach, and he rose them to the top of NCAA basketball. They were a national powerhouse. You know, you could kind of make a case that without John Thompson, people may not even have remembered the Big East for what the Big East became. The Big East was a truly dominant force in college basketball during his time. And he was a part of that. He brought it there, contending in several national championships, winning a national championship. Um, he's placed some legendary basketball players in the NBA. If you're a fan of Allen Iverson, thank John Thompson. John Thompson was his coach in college. Alonzo Mourning, Dikembe Mutombo, Patrick Ewing. Those are some of the names that John Thompson is connected with, and they've all kind of had like this father-son relationship because that's the type of person John Thompson was. He was known to be, a no-nonsense type of guy, and he could be harsh, but it was like in a fatherly way, I guess. So people loved him because they knew like he wasn't just putting his foot to their ass just to be an asshole. You know, they had that relationship, and it's funny because a friend of mine, when I spoke to him, he was like, "Damn, the first thing I thought of was I hope Allen Iverson is okay because if anybody's ever heard Allen Iverson talk about John Thompson, you know he loves that man to death. That dude was a father, definitely a father in his life, and shit like hurts. But going back to like the historical significance of this guy, like it wasn't just an impact for the Big East or for Washington D.C. area. It was a national impact to see John Thompson excel. Look at culture in the '80s. Hoya paranoia. Georgetown Hoya gear was one of the most famous famous logos in black culture. Everybody wore it from East Coast to West Coast. Go look back at some old pictures of people like Ice Cube, NWA, rappers of all over. Everybody rocked the Georgetown G. Everybody rocked that bulldog on a jacket or something like that. Like Georgetown they were our team. John Thompson was our coach. Georgetown was our team. And again, think about the fucking irony of this, that at a predominantly white school in a predominantly white area of a predominantly black city, John Thompson made that whole team Black America's team. Like, even if you had another team, you were a Georgetown Warriors fan. Nobody back in the '80s if you were black, I find it hard pressed to believe that you didn't care about the Georgetown Warriors. And you gotta think, this is the time of Reaganomics and the crack epidemic starting to swoop in and all that, gang violence and things like that. Like Georgetown was the thing, and John Thompson was the man to everybody. That's why I say it's kind of understandable when someone says that he was our real life Black Panther. It was like, yo, think about how the black community responded to seeing a major superhero that is African American in a pretty much all black cast, and to have the movie not only be good but to be extremely successful. Again, Black Panther is one of the top grossing films of all time. So yeah, yeah. He kind of is the Black Panther in real life, in that aspect, because again, Georgetown became such a fucking household name. Like it it lifted, you know, African Americans during that time. And it's just sad, to see him go. Like that was someone who was hugely significant in my childhood. And you know, again, even if you weren't a sports fan back then, you had like love and respect for John Thompson and what he did. Just crazy, God bless his family, friends, his loved ones. And 2020, I tell you, whew, such an emotional roller coaster. Anyway, as always, you guys, feel free to hit me up. Let me know what you think, and I'll holler at you later. This your boy Blak, making it out. Deuces.